Are you enjoying CPAC Chicago? You want them to come back? You've had a rousing group of speakers. I'm the last one, and you know, it's not over till the fat lady sings, and they couldn't find a fat lady, so I guess I'm it for you today. This has been a fabulous day. You've had a series of governors and congressmen and leaders that have come forward, really encouraging you, and I hope encouraging you in a very positive way to get active, to be active, to move forward, to move out, and to carry the message on forward for the opportunities and for our future. I was raised on a farm in eastern Kansas, and my dad still farms there, and I've got 5 children, my wife and I do, and we want to see the best opportunities that they could possibly have for them. But to do it, we got to fight for it. They're fighting for it. They're getting their education. They're working hard. But what kind of legacy are we going to pass along to them? And that's really what all these meetings and all this discussion is about, is what kind of legacy and what kind of opportunity we're going to pass along to them. My son enjoys this story about a farmer and an economist because his granddad's a farmer and he's studying to be an economist, and I think it makes a bit of a point. Said that there was an economist out driving in the countryside, and he's driving around and he's looking around and he gets hopelessly lost. And he finally sees a little farmhouse that's over here, and he goes over to the farmhouse and he asks the farmer how to get back. And the farmer tells him, gives him great directions, and the economist says, "Thank you, appreciate that," and heads to his car, but he's always looking for an opportunity to make some money. So he sees that the farmer has a lot of sheep, and he asks the farmer, said, "If I can tell you in 10 seconds or less how many sheep you have, can I take one?" And the farmer thinks, there's no way you can figure this out in that period of time. So he says, "Yeah, you're on." The economist puts together a series of equations in his mind, and in 8 seconds says, "You, sir, have 863 sheep." The farmer goes, that's amazing. That's exactly right. That's exactly how, all right, I guess you can take one. So the economist grabs the animal, heads to his car, and the farmer says, "Yeah, wait, I want to engage you in this. If I can tell you what your profession is, can I have my sheep back?" And the economist says, "I don't think there's any way you can figure out what my profession is." "Sure." The farmer says, "You, sir, are an economist." "Well, that's exactly right. How'd you know?" He said, "Well, you know everything about numbers, and you got my dog under your arm." And I think at times we lose sight of sense. We need the numbers, but we lose sight of sense, and yet that's the very genius of America, is you don't pick the geniuses to do the opportunities. When government picks geniuses to do the opportunities, they get the dog. When government opens up opportunities to people by lowering taxes, by less government, by creating opportunities like even the Homestead Act that settled my state, you get innovation, you get common sense, you get people coming forward and taking the opportunities, and that's what America is about, and that's what we've been lacking recently, is instead of created an opportunity society, we've created a select society. So we're going to pick the companies that should do this. We're going to pick the people that should be the ones to succeed, rather than just creating opportunities and open it up. And that's what we've started to do in the state of Kansas, is change our direction from the government picking the winners and losers to opening up opportunities. So if you want to move into Kansas to 50 of our less populated areas, great, God bless you, no income tax for 5 years, and if you got a student loan, we'll help you pay off $15,000 of it over a 5-year time period. We don't pick anybody, but we create an opportunity with that. If you're a small business, we just passed a law in the state of Kansas. That small business really that's the job-creating machine of America. That's the genius of America. People that employ under 10 people, 3/4 of Kansans work for somebody with less than 10 employees. What we just passed in the legislature took the income tax totally off of small business. If you're an LLC, a sub-S, a sole proprietorship, no income tax in the state, because that's our job-creating machine. And it was in the paper the day before yesterday, the Kansas City Star, one of the editorialists was complaining about this, saying the accountants' phones are ringing off the hook, asking whether people should be moving to Kansas, small businesses calling them. Well, go figure. Why? Well, because people act economically rational, and it is a free society, and people love freedom, and they'll make opportunities of it. And I thought Reagan Reagan really captured this early on when he really took the income tax rate down. Early in his administration, created a growth opportunity really for 20 years in the country. And his basic thesis was, it is better to trust the people with their money than it is to trust the government. And that they will do more with the money than the government will do with the money. And they will create opportunities, and they'll do things that we've never envisioned, we've never dreamed of, but you got to trust the people, not the government, to do this. And that's where I think we've gotten off mark, is we've tried to start saying, you know, I think you get some smart guys in the room, and they're going to figure this out for everybody else, and they're going to create they're going to pick, they'll get the right person, they'll get the right this, that. But they failed to know the American spirit that is within people, that you can't really look at that. It's got to be somebody that's got enough guts and gumption to be able to take this on. And you really can't measure that, but you can create an opportunity for that. And that's what we're doing in my state, and it's working. Last decade, we lost 1,000 private sector jobs in the whole decade. Listen, in the last 18 months, we're up 30,000 jobs in the state of Kansas of new private sector jobs. And we are down in public sector jobs during that same time period. I came into office with a great wave of 2010 governors. I was also fortunate to be in the 1994 class, the revolutionary class that came into Congress, first Republican Congress in over 40 years since Dwight Eisenhower was president. I came in with that Republican wave. And I came in with the Republican governor's wave in 2010. And I was staring at a $500 million budget deficit. We will end this fiscal year with just about almost $500 million budget surplus in about an 18-month period of time. And we did not raise taxes. But instead, we went in and said, okay, how can we work at this place and say we're going to do our core functions well? We're going to make sure that we get education taken care of. We're going to make sure that people that need health care get health care. We're going to make sure the streets are safe. But past that, we're going to see what else we can change or what we shouldn't be doing that we can no longer afford to do to create a more efficient government, to create a better system. And that has changed our budget trajectory. We also, as I said, on our taxes, we were the highest tax state in our region. With the changes this year, we'll go to second lowest in our region. And we want to keep driving that on down to create the opportunity and to trust the people with the money, not the government with the money. And we did pension reform and moving away from a defined benefit system to one that we can afford over a longer period of time, because we've got to make these changes. I want to finish on this note. You are starting to see, I believe, the bursting of the federal government bubble. Remember the dot-com bubble? Remember the housing bubble? This one's much bigger. And it is going to be a difficult time period. It's going to be a time period of opportunity as well. I don't say this gladly, but we have got a big, difficult situation, and you're starting to see this take place. I don't know if I was reading the Washington Post today, and they were talking about furloughs for the National Weather Service employees. And these are just kind of the precursor starts of, okay, the government doesn't have the money that it wants to have, and it's going to have to shrink. This is going to create opportunities and difficulties as we go into this period of time. The way forward will be led by the states, because this is supposed to be the laboratory of innovation, would be the states. And so the states are trying different things. And how do you do pensions? And how do we get the economy growing? And how do we cut down taxes? How do we get this place to be able to run within its budget? And you're seeing that taking place as the ideas and the innovations happen at the state level, and you've heard from a number of them here. We can do it. We must do it. We've got to change course. Just as we've done in Kansas, we've got to change course, and we've got to get back on a right course fiscally. We've got to get back on a right course with our families. I've signed into law 5 pro-life bills in the state of Kansas in the period of time that I've been governor already. And we need to stand for the sacredness of life. And I get hit from some people, why are you so pro-life and this and that? My wife and I have 5 children. And one of the reasons I'm pro-life is a girl I met about 12 years ago by the name of Jinyi Dan. And she's a little girl in Shantou City, China. And I just was amazed at her. I was amazed at her mother, who I did not meet, but what she fought through to have her. Because she was in a system then that was forcing abortions, that was paying for those, and if you didn't have an abortion, you were going to have this, you were going to have difficulty. And somehow her mother, fought through that system to deliver Jen Yi Dan to the orphanage door in Shantou City, China. And tonight, God willing, I'll give her a kiss on the cheek tonight. And I'll be thanking God for that little girl that's my 14-year-old daughter, who can be tough at times, but I wouldn't trade her for the world. And I thank her for her mother. And I don't understand a system that would pay for her to be destroyed, not here. And I don't understand why you would kill your future. And that's part of the reason why we're so pro-life and why we should be so pro-life. As we move forward in this difficult time, and it's going to be a difficult time, I really want to emphasize that, because this is going to be a difficult. Party's over, the bank account's spent. Europe is just a decade ahead of us. The markets decide these things if you don't get on top of them yourself, just as they did with the dot-com bubble. Remember, maybe some of you invested in dot-com stocks there for a while. That was a great thing to invest in. And people say, yeah, wait, there's no there. Or the housing bubble, remember, and they're growing up big, and boy, there's just no end. It's going to keep growing. Well, at some point, there gets to be an inflection point, and we're likely to hit one of those too. We're just going to have to get back to the basics. We're going to have to get back to the old paths. We're going to have to get back to the ways we know, of common sense, of hard work, of diligence, of living within your means. And we can do all these things. And as we do it, let us go forward really in a spirit of humility. I think we have to go forward from places like here, just humbly standing for what we believe in, standing for what's right, and moving the nation forward. The one time I got to meet Ronald Reagan, I was a White House fellow in the Bush administration. He was retired in California, went out to his office in California and had a wonderful chance to meet with him. One of the people there had the wisdom to ask him, what one thing did he not get done while he was president that he wished he had? And you could tell Reagan had had this question before, and he was a good actor. He just leaned back, looked up in the air, and says, I wished I'd brought back the cavalry. It was funny, but on his desk was a Bible, and in front of it was a little saying, and it said there that you can be too big to be used by God, but never too small. And I thought of the brilliance of that wisdom. So as we go forward, and we work hard to save and reinvent America, which I think is there for us to do and need to do, let's go forward thinking small of ourselves and big of the God that's behind us, that's been with this country all along, that works through us as we depend upon him, and that our motto is truly, in God we trust, going through this season. God bless you all. Have a safe travel home. Thank you.